You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Right now at 7, some Crowder College students break out their graffiti talents as they get to work on a graffiti wall.
And some dogs get a makeover in order to help them get adopted.
And take a look at this image. This is from the MoDOT camera at 20th and Rangeline. It's not broken. That's how dense the fog is out there. You can't see anything. We'll talk about this dense fog and our evening rain chances coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Buck. Authorities charge a Lamar, Missouri man with kidnapping. Prosecutors charge Matthew Clements with allegedly forcing his ex-girlfriend from her car and kidnapping her in Lamar, Missouri. Authorities say the crime happened Wednesday morning. Multiple people had called 911 reporting a woman screaming for help. Officers say the woman had minor injuries from the incident. Clements is being held in the Barton County Jail on a no bond warrant. A former Arkansas senator will soon head to federal prison. On Wednesday, a judge in the Western District of Missouri sentenced Jeremy Hutchinson, a former Arkansas state senator, to 8 years in federal prison for accepting multiple bribes. Earlier this year, Hutchinson was sentenced to 3 years and 10 months prison for bribery, filing a false tax return in the federal district courts of Arkansas. The sentences will run consecutive. We'll have more details on the history of this case on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com.
As we turn to weather, we are continuing with a traffic alert for us this morning because of the intense, dense fog out there. In fact, I think visibilities are actually worse now than they were just 15-20 minutes ago. These are MoDOT cameras across the Joplin metro area, and you can't see, well, I think that's a car. This is at 20th and Rangeline. I think that's a car. That's how serious the fog situation is. KDOT camera at 69 and 400. It's cleared up a little by the intersection, but you can look off in the distance and see that dense fog is still around the area. Here's what it looks like on the tracker. Pittsburgh, Joplin, Miami, Chanute reporting, and Grove now reporting zero visibility. Number of areas across the region at or very near zero visibility. We have dense fog advisories through 10 a.m. for these counties in dark gray, but just because you're not in a fog advisory does not mean you're not experiencing fog, and we've been passing on these safety tips that are essential. One, if you've got your fog beams, use them. If you don't, do not substitute with high beams. That will make it worse for you and the other driver. And the other thing, make sure you're prepared for your commute to take a little longer than normal. Now, once this fog burns off, we'll convert to mostly cloudy skies, upper 50s. Cold front later today starts to trigger some showers, maybe a couple of thunderstorms in the afternoon. And this will increase in coverage as we go through the evening. By 7, here we are moving into the 10 o'clock hour, more showers, maybe a few more thunderstorms out there. And then by about 3, 4 o'clock tomorrow morning, these will begin to let up across the area. We'll talk more about your full forecast and how our weekend is looking here in a few more minutes. Tanya?
All right. Thanks, Chris. Watch as these rescue pups get the royal treatment. Irene Snyder has more on how a little bit of grooming is helping to get shelter dogs adopted.
These pups are living out a real-life Cinderella story, going from roughs to riches.
And people are amazed. They're like, wait, that dog is a rescue dog? And we're like, yes, it's a rescue dog. And they just need that care and that love.
One such dog is lovable little Peanut. He was found just last week wandering the streets of Tempe, underweight and severely matted.
He's still got a lot going on here. I'm sure his ears are pretty dirty. His claws are grown out.
From the streets to the salon, he's one of the Love Pup rescue dogs treated to a spa day at Oh My Dog Boutique in Old Town Scottsdale.
For them to get the health care that they need, which includes grooming.
It's part of a program started 15 years ago by Oh My Dog owner Jackie Griffin.
We could, do these makeovers and really show that like any dog with the proper grooming and the proper love, they look like they're a well taken care of, perfectly suitable dog.
So into the tub Peanut goes. Then he's blown out. And here comes the tough part, trimming. And for some more matted dogs, shaving. The best part of the day, taking the before and after shots. Peanut looking dapper with his new cut and tie.
He knows he feels better. The message behind this program is that you really can't judge these rescue dogs by what they look like right now, because it's shocking what grooming does.
Watching these dogs get their happily ever after makes it all worth it.
So neglected. And so like seeing them just be loved and taken care of, and it really helps them find a forever home.
On Thursday, some Crowder College students worked on their graffiti skills. As part of a school event, the students are putting together a graffiti project on the wall of the LC Plaster Community Center in Neosho. Officials say it lets students exercise their creativity while brightening up the community.
Technique-wise, I think there's a lot of things to learn from it. I think that it gets kids into art. It's very much linked with the culture, linked with historically hip hop. Now it's kind of hype beast, all these kind of things. Like it's tied with more things that I feel like they have experience with.
The students worked on the graffiti wall for 3 hours. We're just a few weeks away from the release of what many are calling the most highly anticipated video game of all time. Eamon Digman has more.
One of the biggest heroes in the history of gaming makes his triumphant return, and Fox News got an exclusive sneak peek. Nintendo unveiling Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, a sequel to Link and Zelda's last main adventure, Breath of the Wild, which many call one of the greatest games of all time. This time around, instead of the return of the main villain Calamity Ganon, we are focused, at least at the start of the game, on the newly discovered Skyworld. Early gameplay centers on crafting, expanding the cooking and potion-making mechanics from the first game. A main focus, building machines to travel to difficult-to-reach new areas, and learning new magical abilities, like Ultra Hand, a spell that works in conjunction with another new ability to streamline building, and Recall, which I used here when I sent a vehicle off to Nowhere Land by accident, rewinding the actions of that vehicle about 15 seconds after it moved. And while we didn't get to preview the entire storyline, one thing we do know, Ganon will be back, played by prolific voice actor Matt Mercer.
All right, Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom will launch exclusively on the Nintendo Switch on May 12th. I'm sure my boys will be excited about that. Up next, there were lessons to be learned from the COVID-19 pandemic, and we dive into what they are.
And later, a woman adopts a 40-pound cat named Patches and immediately puts him on a diet. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back, but first, here's another live look from Miami, Oklahoma.
In Health Watch this morning, federal officials say no new cases of Mpox have been reported in the U.S. this week. According to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the 7-day average of new cases reached 0 on Tuesday. This is the first time since the peak of the outbreak last year. The World Health Organization declared Mpox, formerly known as monkeypox, public health emergency of international concern in 2022. Well, older Americans are turning away from prescription medication. A study from Michigan's Medicine National Poll on Healthy Aging found Americans older than 50 are looking to drop some of their prescriptions. 67% who were surveyed say they would seek a doctor's advice before doing so. The survey also found 82% of Americans between 50 and 80 have at least one regular prescription. Doctors are calling the movement de-prescribing and say it is important for patients and providers to discuss the person's medical situations first. More than 1.1 million people have died from COVID-19 in the U.S., and some health experts say pandemic mistakes that were made may have cost lives. Mandy Gaither has more on what some say the U.S. did wrong and how it may shape future pandemics.
Across the U.S., COVID-19 cases, hospitalizations, and deaths are trending down. But over the course of more than 3 years, the virus stole lives and made many severely sick.
We thought we were the best prepared country.
Dr. Anthony Fauci, former director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, says there were some successes over the pandemic, including the rapid development of the vaccine. But the U.S., one of the wealthiest nations on earth, racked up more than 1.1 million deaths from COVID-19, a death toll that outpaced those of most other countries. Fauci says 2 problems led to this: divisiveness of politics, which caused distrust in public health recommendations to get vaccinated and wear masks in public.
there was a lot of, opposition of do this, don't do this, people pushing back. Those people could not all be wrong. We've got to understand what the underlying reason why they were pushing back.
Fauci also says the U.S. public health departments and for-profit healthcare system are largely disconnected.
When it came to the implementation of public health, the uniformity of a response, the communication, the ability to get data in real time, we really fell very short.
But he says the lessons learned during this pandemic may help prepare us for future ones.
Fauci says that while everyone wants the outbreak behind us, we cannot forget it. He says there are still about 150 deaths a day from COVID-19. The virus is still out there.
And we've still got dense fog across the area. We're going to take another look at that full forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. But first, here's another live look from Mural Fest in Miami. All right, we are taking a look at this fog, and that's why we still have this traffic alert for us across the area. So let's go back and look. MoDOT cameras around the city of Joplin at different locations. You can kind of see some headlights in there. Outside of that, you can't see much of anything. From the KDOT camera at 69 and 400, right by the intersection, it's a little bit clear, but you can look off in the distance just above this banner here and see that dense fog is still out there. Here's a look at the fog tracker. Pittsburgh, Chanute, Miami, Joplin, Grove, all reporting zero visibility, and a number of communities within this zone reporting very near zero visibility. And this is impacting any number of major highways across the area, and we have dense fog advisories for these counties in gray that run through 10 a.m. So the quick reminders on this is, one, if you've got fog beams, use them. If you don't, do not substitute with the high beams. That's dangerous for you and the other driver, and expect your morning commute to be a little bit slower today. All right, once we get through the fog, we'll have mostly cloudy skies. We'll start to warm up a bit. Cold front to our west starts to trigger a few showers out there as we head into the afternoon. And we'll see a few more showers, maybe a couple of thunderstorms as we go into the evening and into the overnight hours as this continues to build across the region with some much needed rainfall. As we head into tomorrow morning early, this is 3 a.m., everything starts to kind of die down, starts to break apart, and by about 4 or 5 o'clock, it is gone. Current conditions in Joplin, if you can see Joplin, it is out there. We're at 45, calm winds and very foggy across the area. Temperatures look like this: 39 Fort Scott, 41 Pittsburgh, 46 Miami, and 48 in Neosho. We get our day started. This fog expected to last through 8, 9 o'clock this morning. Mostly cloudy, upper 50s by late morning. We head for highs today in the mid to upper 60s across the area. And as we go into this evening, upper 40s for lows. And as we mentioned, we'll continue to hold on to those rain chances through the evening and overnight hours. Well, a new video game lets players race Hot Wheels cars like they never have before. Rick Damigella has the story.
You don't need to fill your living room with plastic orange track to race these Hot Wheels. Hot Wheels Rift Rally uses mixed reality for its gameplay, featuring over 140 digital Hot Wheels cars. The physical aspect of the game comes with a remote-controlled camera car named the Chameleon.
So in the game, the Chameleon digitally transforms into any one of those Hot Wheels of your collection. And not only does it look like that Hot Wheels car, but it also handles completely differently. So Hot Wheels Rift Rally comes with 4 different gates that you build, and then you lay out in any way that you want to in your physical space, in your home. And then when you want to build a track in the game, you can take any course through those 4 gates that you want and paint it digitally with the mixed reality content.
Your digital car isn't completely constrained by the physical space.
We decoupled the third-person camera view from the physical car just slightly so that the digital content of your Hot Wheels vehicle can do things like tricks and stunts, wheelies. You can hit digital ramps in game.
3, 2, 1. Hot Wheels Rift Rally is playable now on PlayStation 4 and 5 and on iOS devices. Leveling Up in Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
There's certainly different games, as I've said more than once, than what I had growing up, but absolutely fascinating games out there as well. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this. Well, a Virginia woman who adopted a 40-pound cat named Patches is dieting in solidarity with her kitty.
Aw, how sweet. She's also putting them both on an exercise routine, as Jeannie Moose reports.
No wonder the cat got my tongue.
Yes, this is Patches.
The nearly 40-pound cat just got a new owner, and together they're going on a weight loss program.
Well, we're going to do it together. Although the vet pointed out to me that I don't need to lose 50% of my body weight, he does.
Patches was surrendered by his previous owner to Richmond, Virginia Animal Care and Control, the biggest cat the shelter ever encountered. They put him up for adoption, describing his body as gloriously gluttonous. Kay Ford won the right to take Patches home. It took two to carry his cage, after writing that she wanted to go on the weight loss journey with him. Is he heavy on your lap?
The blood circulation hasn't been cut off yet. He's actually kind of comfy.
Wrote one fan on Patches' Facebook page, "I desperately want to put my face in his belly." Others have created memes like the Meow-na Lisa. After the first week,
Oh, thank you.
Kay and Patches had bonded. So what if he can't fit through the door to the cat bed? He will eventually.
It's okay, honey. I'm not laughing at you.
The first stop in Operation Lose Weight was a trip to the vet. Patches is already slimming down.
38.8? Okay. That's awesome.
Tests indicate there's nothing wrong that diet and exercise won't fix. The cat weighs 5 times more than Kay's Yorkshire Terrier. When it comes to weight loss goals... Let's say a year from now someone says to you, "What's new, pussycat?" What do you hope to be able to say?
I love that.
What's new, pussycat? Whoa, whoa, whoa.
For Patches...
A 20-pound weight loss, and I would certainly like to say the same.
Which would make her a copycat.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Funny, Kate said the same thing the first moment she laid eyes on Patches.
Whoa.
Jeannie Moose, CNN, New York.
Yeah, it was kind of my first reaction too, was whoa,
Yeah.
whoa.
It really reminds me of my aunt and uncle's cat. They had a large cat. Not quite as big as 40 pounds, but a very large cat that just liked to lay on its back, and you would take the garden hose and run it over its belly. It loved the water on its belly. Like, what cats like to get wet like that?
Not many at all.
Very, very big ones.
Apparently so. Well, we've got more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:28. The fight over gender-affirming care for children heats up in Missouri. On Thursday, Missouri's Republican governor says he's ready to force lawmakers to keep working if they do not send him bills putting limits on transgender kids' health care and participation in sports by the session's upcoming end. Parsons' last-minute push comes amid widespread support for those bills in both the GOP-led House and Senate, but disagreement over the best approach. This follows a St. Louis County judge temporarily pushing back the effective date of the rule from Thursday to Monday, but she is considering delaying its effectiveness even longer while a legal challenge to it plays out in court. Coffeyville, Kansas firefighters say they're getting fed up over a dispute with the city. The city of Coffeyville and the fire department have been trying to settle the pay rate for the hazmat team. Now, last month, the fire chief, Kenny Ward, was allegedly fired by the city manager over disagreements about double-time pay for the hazmat team. After weeks of no comment, during the last city council meeting, city manager Mark Hull addressed the hazmat pay after the fire department walked out of the meeting. Hull said the city will pay the hazmat team on a straight time pay and will pass on the straight time pay reimbursement from the state fire marshal. According to According to Coffeyville, the hazmat pay contract with the state fire marshal only allows straight time pay for members on the hazmat team. President of the Coffeyville Fire Union says the department will no longer attend commissioner meetings. Now they're focused.
Now we can't sit back and be quiet. I mean, our honor and integrity, and I mean, it's everything that a firefighter character is off of, he attacked.
This is stemming from incorrect paperwork submitted by an unauthorized firefighter that set the hazmat pay at double time. City manager claims the paperwork was tampered with. However, the fire department and state fire marshal said it was an unintentional mistake.
Well, we've got that dense fog out there this morning. We'll take another look at that here in a few more minutes. It's expected to last through about 8, 9 o'clock this morning, so do be aware of that. Now, once it clears out, we'll have mostly cloudy skies, temperatures pushing into the upper 50s. We go into the afternoon, we're looking at highs pretty decent, mid to upper 60s for most of us. However, by about 2 o'clock in our western counties and some of our southern counties, we'll start to see a few showers, maybe a couple of thunderstorms as a cold front moves in, and then everybody getting in on shower and maybe even a thunderstorm or two as the evening progresses and we go into the overnight. We drop back down eventually to a low in the upper 40s. And as we look ahead, once this rain clears out at about 3, 4 a.m. tomorrow, partly cloudy, mid 60s, mostly sunny, lower 60s on Sunday. A couple of shower chances Monday and Tuesday. Temperatures warming to normal up to the mid 70s by Thursday with some additional thunderstorm chances. Tanya?
Thanks, Chris. A new study shows the number of people homeless in Harrison, Arkansas is on the decline, but some living there don't see it that way. Elizabeth Van Metre reports some locals believe a few asking for handouts are not necessarily needy.
A couple of places in town that I don't go by myself and definitely don't go after dark just because it's kind of like the hangouts.
Brandy Forkey lives in Harrison and says it seems like there's a large homeless population with several hangout spots.
And you've got like one right here by Murphy's, and then you've got one on this corner, like right in the middle of the road, and then you've got one on this corner by Arby's.
Forkey says the number of homeless seem to have increased, but a new study from the Arkansas Balance of States states otherwise. The data collected in January shows 21 people in Harrison are homeless.
Very encouraged to see these numbers come back in.
Those numbers show 8 of those 21 are chronically homeless, 12 have mental health illness, 12 substance use disorders, and 9 are survivors of domestic violence. William Tollett works with homeless at the House of Hope. He says the numbers are down thanks to COVID-related funding. More homeless are off the street, but more people, panhandlers, seem to be taking over many busy intersections.
Yes, I'm going to say probably less than 15% of those individuals are homeless. The biggest part of those individuals have housing. Over 70% of them have some type of income.
Tollett says it's important people don't give in to the panhandlers.
In Harrison, there are signs going up that actually is going to be discouraging people from giving money, but instead to contact the local charity or give that money to the charity of their choice that actually can work with those individuals.
Many people in the area are asking if any ordinances can be put in place to stop panhandling. Cities can make some rules about panhandlers. For example, they can make it a law that you can't step into the road, but they won't stop it completely. That's because a U.S. Supreme Court decision several years ago made panhandling protected, saying it is free speech. Well, this morning we're discussing owning a business.
Yeah, Harold Hooper is known as a man who never sits still, but when he wanted to buy an old bait and tackle shop to keep it open, his family members thought he was crazy. When the previous owner couldn't keep the shop anymore, Harold decided to step in and run the place.
With the help of some family members, the bait barn has been transformed into Hooper's Bait and Tackle. Even though Harold is passionate about all things fishing, it isn't the reason why he bought the shop. He wants to help his great-granddaughters go to college debt-free.
That brings us to our question for you this morning. Have you ever wanted to own or start a business? So far, 66% of you say you have, and 34% of you say you have not. So make sure you take time to vote through our website, through our app, and take part in discussion on our Facebook page.
That's right. All right, thanks, Chris. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. It is Friday, and you know what that means. It's almost the weekend, but it also means we've got a visit from the one and only Shannon Becker with his Big 3 stories of the week.
Yeah, he's in the studio. Don't worry about that. And he made it safely through this dense fog. It is very dense out there, even dangerously so. We'll talk about that dense fog, when it's going to clear out, and when rain chances return. But first, here's a live look from Miami, Oklahoma for Mural Fest, starting this weekend.
All right, Shane's just telling me he saw me one time at the pool.
I did at the big
10 years ago.
Yeah, the big Pittsburgh pool with the not the waves, but you know what I mean.
I'm sorry, I don't remember.
It's all right. She's very popular. You are. I don't know.
Well, you know what else is popular?
The big three?
Yeah, the big three.
All right. Let's take a look at the live and local stories this week. Stuff that you maybe missed out on the streets. Number 3 this week. It was a pickup truck crashed into the First Christian Church at 4th and Pearl. 2 people inside the pickup truck. It took about 15 minutes to get them both out of the vehicle safely. Reports were the truck was kind of swerving back and forth going east on 4th Street and then clipped a guy wire, hit the curb on the right, and then overcorrected, overturning. We learned yesterday the driver was cited for misdemeanor DWI and was hospitalized. Our number 2 story. Does it look familiar, these huge obelisks? It's before Route 66. They were called the Ozark Trails, and these were the road signs that kind of told you along the road how far it was to get to your next destination. The Ozark Trails were before the federal government made the highways. They were private and public roads all come together. There's a map there of them. The Ozark Trail marker, there were these huge pillars, and now a new truck stop in Mount Vernon has one. And it's really, really cool. It's kind of a landmark that you'll want to see. It's got all the different directions all across the country on it. Now, the local ones here in the region, of course, they didn't have Los Angeles on there and stuff like that. They had local destinations. They have a small one in the front for selfies. They have a Wendy's. They have a Subway. They have fresh meats.
This is all in Mount Vernon.
Mount Vernon.
That's really cool.
Exit 36. You've got to check it out. It's really, really good. It's the Ozark Trails Travel America truck stop.
Smart way to get people to stop.
Oh, it's a big place. And then our number 1 story, a Century home is destroyed by fire early Sunday morning, and Joplin police say it's suspicious. Fire was about 3:19 in the morning. I just happened to be kind of blinking my eyes about that time, and we got there just after the flames had broke through the roof, home totally destroyed. It was recently purchased and being renovated for 6 different small apartments. Now, of course, it was built originally as one large home about 100 years ago.
So it wasn't currently used as 6 apartments?
No, it was currently vacant. You know, and it had been apartments. I think I'd been in the building before. I think it was 4 different apartments before, but very big. But it's a tragic loss. North Byers is the address right there in the edge of the Murfreesburg neighborhood. Still under investigation, but suspicious. It's a complete loss, right? Yeah, complete loss. Yeah. Wow. And then our bonus story of the week. Maybe some people haven't heard of a rail grinder train. Well, the other night, one was going through Joplin, and they were saying, oh my gosh, this train is setting fires across town. Well, it actually does. It sets a lot of fires. You can see as it grinds out the uneven marks on the train tracks, maybe those new rails that they put in.
Yeah, I could see them doing this on new ones. Do they do it on a continual basis with the old ones just to make sure things are smooth?
They do it when they think it's needed, but they do it every year pretty much. This was at 10th and Minnesota when we captured it going through town. But as it sets those fires, which people were all freaking out, then it puts the fires out because it has like a little fire hydrant at the end of it, you know, spraying water and puts it all out. So it's pretty bizarre if you haven't seen it before.
It's wet and wild.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Like you at the pool. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
We were there with our kids.
I know, we're old. I know. It's your Big 3 live and local KOAM News Now. Check it out on our website.
All right. You have a lovely weekend.
You too.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, beginning with that traffic alert continuing all morning long, and here's why. Because of all of this dense fog. These are 4 different MoDOT cameras from around the Joplin metro area. You can't see really much of anything. The I-44 camera we're starting to see a little bit better on, but as you can see, still very dense fog. KDOT camera at 69 and 400, right around the intersection. You can now even see back to the hotel. So the fog trying to clear around here, but you look off to the north toward Pittsburgh, and you can see still very dense fog out there. Fog tracker showing about a half-mile visibility in Pittsburgh. This dark gray swath right through here is where the densest fog is, and we've still got places like Joplin, Miami, Grove, reporting zero visibility, and a number of other communities in this zone reporting very near zero visibility. And we still have dense fog advisories for these counties in gray until 10 this morning. Once the fog burns off, we're going to be mostly cloudy, and then by about 2 o'clock, we got a cold front out to our west. It's going to start to set off a few scattered showers and an interesting little arm of it right down here in our southern counties. And as the evening progresses, this becomes a little more organized. We get a few more showers, maybe a rumble of thunder or two. No stronger severe storms, but some thunder possible. By 10, more of it overspreading the area, some much needed rainfall out there. As we head to early tomorrow morning, it starts to clear out, and by 3, 4 o'clock, these showers are done. 7th and Rangeline, you can see we are still quite foggy in the city of Joplin. So a reminder, make sure you use your fog beams if you have them. Don't use your high beams, and prepare for your commute to be considerably slower this morning. 45 in Joplin right now. Temperatures around the area look like this: 42 Fort Scott, 47 Chinook, 49 Miami, and 45 in Neosho. This fog, for a lot of us, expected to last through 8, 9 o'clock, and then once it clears out, mostly cloudy, upper 50s by late morning. That's a quick check of your forecast. Now here's Tanya Bach with a quick check of Consumer Watch.
That's right. And Consumer Watch this morning, raising interest rates and lingering inflation appear to have taken a toll on the U.S. economy. First quarter of this year, new Commerce Department data shows the nation's gross domestic product, the broadest measure of economic output, grew at an annual rate of just 1.1%. That's less than the nearly 2% growth analysts had predicted. Despite those new numbers, new surveys show U.S. consumers plan to spend a record $35.7 billion on mom next month. The National Retail Federation says 84% of Americans will celebrate Mother's Day. Some top gift items include flowers, greeting cards, and special outings. And Ticketmaster is being accused of making a royal mess out of issuing tickets for King Charles's coronation concert. Ticketing platform was tasked with distributing around 20,000 tickets, which were allocated by geographic spread of the UK's population instead of on a first-come, first-served basis. Angry fans took to social media to complain they had received messages that they'd won tickets, only to found that the tickets were all gone when they attempted to claim them. Ticketmaster did not immediately respond to CBS News' request for comment. Don't feel bad, I didn't get one either, although I didn't request one. I would have taken one, though. We'll be right back with more after this, but first, let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell. Jerry Springer, best known for his long-running talk show, has died of cancer at the age of 79.
His family released a statement saying he passed away peacefully at his suburban Chicago home.
Jared Hill looks back at his career.
Known for its outrageous brawls and dysfunctional guests, The Jerry Springer Show was an American guilty pleasure for decades, scoring high ratings for much of its 27-year run. Host Jerry Springer had this to say about the show's longevity in 2010.
I'm not proud because what we're starting now is we're starting to get the kids of our original guests on. And this is wrong because these people were told not to procreate.
Springer was born in London to German Jews who escaped the Holocaust and came to this country when he was 5. In the 1970s, he served as a city council member and mayor of Cincinnati. But it was his salacious, self-named television show that turned Jerry Springer into a household name.
It was fascinating to watch, people fight and people, argue over, infidelity. And it tapped into a part of the national psyche that was untapped.
We're getting down and dirty with our next story.
Springer defended his critically reviled program as escapist entertainment and often told people, tongue-in-cheek, that his wish for them was that they may never be on his show. Jared Hill, CBS News.
Yeah, I've got to admit, it was a late-night guilty pleasure for me back in the day as well. As much as I just hated the concept of the show, it was fascinating television at 2 o'clock in the morning.
And then they'd have like paternity test week or something.
Yeah,
always. It would lead to a lot of brawls.
Always something good. Maybe we should give that a try here one time. Just see what happens. Just have like a Jerry Springer, have a Springer Yeah, just one day. Just have one day of a Springer-style show. We'll see about that. One thing that we don't need to actually see about, because you can't see so well, is the fog that's outside right now. We are continuing the traffic alert that we've had all morning long because of the dense fog that's been ongoing across the area. MoDOT cameras around Joplin, we're starting to see a little bit here and there, but for the most part, still very dense fog in the city, and still quite foggy even on the Kansas side at 69 400. Now, it looks okay at the intersection, but you can see still some dense fog back off toward the north, and I'm sure still off to the south. Fog tracker is still showing that very dense fog really just coming right in through this area and getting into parts of southwest Missouri, southeast Kansas, northeast Oklahoma. Some communities like Joplin, Miami, and Grove still reporting zero visibility, others close to that. Dense fog advisories in place through 10 a.m., and that's because that fog is going to last about that long. Once the fog burns off, though, clouds don't really go anywhere. We'll still be mostly cloudy. And then by about 2 o'clock, cold front out to our west triggers some showers, and they'll eventually evolve into more showers, some heavier rain, maybe even a couple of thunderstorms out there, but no strong or severe storms. Here we are by 7, really getting into southeast Kansas, really where a lot of that rain is needed. And it will slowly make its way off and expand to the east. By 10 o'clock, more showers, more thunderstorms, and we get into the overnight. And by about 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, it is out of here. Quick look at current conditions. Very foggy in Joplin at 7th and Rangeline. 45 degrees, calm wind. As we mentioned, zero visibility out there. Across the area, 42 in Fort Scott, Nevada, 43 Pittsburgh, 48 Chetopa, 49 Miami, and 45 in Neosho and Carthage. That fog expected to last through 8, 9 o'clock this morning before it eventually starts to burn off. And then we mostly cloudy into the upper 50s by late morning. We'll have another check of your forecast and the news you need to know right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Kansas lawmakers enact what may be the most sweeping transgender bathroom law in the U.S. On Thursday, the Republican-controlled legislature overrode Governor Laura Kelly's veto of the measure. Kansas law applies also to locker rooms, prisons, domestic violence shelters, and rape crisis centers, as well as schools. The new law will take effect July 1st. On Wednesday, a judge in the Western District of Missouri sentenced Jeremy Hutchinson, a former Arkansas state senator, to 8 years in federal prison for accepting multiple bribes. Earlier this year, Hutchinson was sentenced to 3 years and 10 months for prison for bribery and filing a false tax return in the federal district courts of Arkansas. Well, some Crowder College students got to work on their graffiti skills as part of a school event. The students are putting together a graffiti project on the wall of the LC Plaster Community Center in Neosho. Officials say it lets students exercise their creativity while brightening up the community. And on Thursday, McDonald County students helped combat hunger. Volunteers with Meals of Hope and McDonald County FFA students packed 25,000 meals for people in need. Students worked in assembly lines for 1-hour shifts before switching out. They were in charge of packing the meals, weighing them, measuring ingredients, and preparing them for delivery.
Once we get through this thick fog this morning, we'll have mostly cloudy skies, and then from west to east, showers, couple thunderstorms start to build in for the afternoon and evening hours. Mid to upper 60s for highs, back into the upper 40s tonight. Showers, couple of rumbles of thunder will continue with some of that much-needed rainfall across the area. It's done by about 3, 4 o'clock tomorrow morning. Partly cloudy, mid-60s Saturday, low 60s Sunday. More showers Monday, Tuesday. Temperatures on the upswing, though. Mid-70s by Thursday and some additional thunderstorm chances.
Well, instead of spending time at home looking for those lost keys, you may want to call your previous Uber driver.
The rideshare company releasing its 7th annual Uber Lost and Found Index. It's a collection of common items that riders leave behind.
Some of the items may seem commonplace, such as phones, clothing, wallets, and jewelry. Others, such as fake blood, a lightsaber, or a dog, may have you a bit stunned.
The company says there has also been an uptick in eggs getting left behind.
Uber says if it's been less than 2 days since your item has been lost, you can call the driver to see if they have seen it.
After 48 hours, you can fill out a form from Uber and hope it shows up. And if you're leaving eggs behind, that's like leaving gold bars behind.
I know.
How careless can you be to leave those eggs behind?
How do you leave your dog behind?
How do you leave most of that stuff behind?
Yeah.
A lightsaber? Eggs? Why not just leave your groceries? Take an Uber to the grocery store,
Are you
put your
leaving it in the
groceries in the
trunk or
car, and then
something?
just leave it and get out of your house when you get home.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and wait until you're hungry. Like, oh, shoot.
Yeah,
Where's
no.
my grocery?
No,
Oh,
shouldn't be
my.
happening.
Should not be, but unfortunately it is. Well, make sure you check that list if you've taken an Uber lately and you're missing anything. Until then, we want to thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning. We'll be back with more news, less foggy weather at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.